All right, today on the table I have Tessa, which is chambered in 7.62 by 39. I have the Harvester, which is chambered in 5.56, otherwise known as 223. And the Scar, which is chambered in 7.62 by 51 NATO, or otherwise known as 308. Now you have to understand why I'm making this video the way I am. I mean, there's really a reason behind it, so I'm going to go over that first. I'll put a little timestamp right here if you just want to skip ahead and get into the meat and potatoes. But anyway, if I were to make this video talking about, these rifles and their hunting application or something realistic, it's going to be taken down. I've already made videos like that. They get taken down. I even tried one with a pistol caliber and it gets demonetized. If it gets demonetized, your views are cut by about 75%. And your money's cut about 98%. That being said, this video needs to be made completely fictional. So, we're going to be talking about the zombie apocalypse and where these rifles would work properly. And we're not even going to be using real rifles. We're going to be using airsoft replicas. Let's make sure all these airsoft rifles are fake. Because they are rifles that are not for sale. They're currently in service in the airsoft world, so they usually have a round chambered in them. And the reason I think that if I make this totally fake, it'll actually stay afloat, because when my hunting video got taken down, where I'm pretty sure the reason it got taken down is because I made the case that 223 is actually a pretty solid hunting round. It doesn't matter what caliber you're shooting. If it goes in the dirt, it's still a miss. And if you hit the vitals, it's still a vital hit, and it's still going to die just as fast. So I did experimenting. There was a couple of Grand Theft Auto videos I flagged where they were literally assaulting an officer, saying derogatory statements about him while yelling BLM. I haven't checked on them recently. I probably should have checked on all these videos before I did my video. But anyway, it was like 3 months, still monetized by major advertisement companies. Not going to say any out there, but like major ones, like Pepsi or something. And it was still there. Another video I flagged, this rapper basically insinuated that it was okay to shoot the President of the United States. Still out there, still monetized. Another one I flagged, this author who had no skill at storytelling at all, so he tried to hide that fact by just using shock and awe. In his audiobook, he graphically described a girl being raped, which, Stephen King has done stuff like that, so I let that slide. He dropped the F-bomb constantly, and this audiobook had an advertisement in every 5 minutes. Major advertisements, like Best Buy was one of them. I even messaged Best Buy. I'm like, hey, do you have any idea where your ads are going? But anyway, so that, I let that go because good books, they're based in realism. Stephen King does it, and he still makes it classy, and he still makes it artistic. But then it got to the point where the guy goes, he saves these 2 toddlers because it's a zombie apocalypse book, and he wedges himself in this little cubby hole so the zombies can't get at him, but obviously the zombies ate his back half. So then when it gets really, really dark at that point. And another reason why I flagged is the dude was totally anti-gun who wrote the book. Like, anybody that had a gun in his book were assaulting people or robbing, or they couldn't shoot at all and the zombies were just overtaking them. But anyways, I know I probably shouldn't flag anything because it's real hypocritical of me, but I needed to do some experimentation to find out what is and what is not okay on YouTube. And I found, as long as it's completely fake, you can put on there whatever you want. So, this video needs to be based in fiction. First things first. So, it's the zombie apocalypse. If you are in a strong, defensible position, none of these rifles are going to work good. You're going to want to use like a 22 caliber against zombies because, say you have a person firing north, east, south, and west, and they're limiting themselves to 1 round a second. That's 6 rounds a second. So you're looking at 60 rounds every 10 seconds, 600 rounds every 100 seconds, etc., etc., etc. There's no way you could feed those rifles. Not in any sort of modern not modern enough. Not in any sort of high power capacity. It would have to be 22 long rifle. But with a high-powered rifle, you don't necessarily need to hit them in the head. You just need to hit them somewhere in the spine. This way, it disables them because it's actually probably better to have a bunch of zombies laying out there that'll make noise if raiders come or even bite them. Because let's face it, the zombie apocalypse just is not realistic. Not in America, anyway. They move slow, they're stupid, we would just run over them. It wouldn't be a problem. But say, like, somehow the virus did spread, you know, like The Walking Dead or whatever, where once you die normally, whether you're bitten or not, you become a zombie. So that's how it spreads, which is totally feasible. The zombies still aren't the problem. The raiders are. Because just ask yourself, for 1 second, if my child looks up at me, their lips are all cracked from dehydration, and they're like, Dad or Mom, my stomach hurts because I'm so hungry, where are you going to draw the line on what you're going to do to not get them water or feed them? Is it going to be manual labor? Is that okay? You can do that and feed your child? Is it going to be thievery? Will that be okay? Or are you going to draw a line and be like, no, that's so far not okay. My child can die. They will be the sacrifice. Prostitution. Will that be okay? Or will you draw the line and be like, nope, I can't do that, not even for my child's life. Murder. Will that be okay? Like, seriously, where would you draw the line? And I think most of you, if you pause the video for a minute or so and just seriously think about this, there is going to be no line. Hunger makes it real. Thirst makes it desperate. Or urgent, whatever word you want to use. The point is, the raiders are going to be the real problem. So that's where these rifles are really going to come in. Yeah, 22, that's all fine against zombies, but what if somebody comes flying up on your compound? You're going to need something that can stop a vehicle effectively, go through windshield glass, you know, whatever. Disable the vehicle and or eliminate the raider. So these all have parts where they really shine. The AK is a very proven rifle. I mean, it really is. It's been around for a long time and they run really reliably. Typically when I see these go down, they're usually ammo based. Or I don't even know if you could call it ammo based, because the most common malfunction I see out of these is rounds getting stuck in the chamber. So I don't know if maybe they don't have a chrome line bore and it gets a little rusty in there, so the steel casing sticks, or what the deal is. Yeah, I've seen other ones like keyhole, stuff like that. The bolt get caught on the extractor because it wasn't heat treated properly, so then you have to take the mag and bang it forward to get it to go forward. But for the most part, they do run. They're not the most accurate rifle, so it probably wouldn't be the best against the zombie apocalypse, but again, you really don't have to kill the zombie, you just gotta disable them. So any shot, you're good to go. Typically with people, you have timers. Like you hit them in the artery or something, they're gonna die, it's just a matter of time. And then you got your switches, which is like your headshot, basically everything right here, instant shutoff. So, I mean, that is a good option. It's really rugged. Now, you pay for it. This is a heavy rifle. It's actually heavier than this rifle. Which, if these rifles were real, this shoots a far more effective round than this. The AK also has the capacity. Pretty much any magazine you find is going to be at least 30 rounds. There'll be some exceptions out there, but for the most part, 30 rounds. And that's very good. Now, they're not the most accurate. Now, a lot of people are like, okay, that's a 3 MOA rifle. I should expect to see 3 MOA groups. I actually disagree with that because my philosophy, I don't have a way to test this, otherwise I would have by now. If you're a 3 MOA shooter and you have a 3 MOA rifle, if it's all the way on the outside of its accuracy and you're on your off and you're on the outside of your accuracy, I'm guesstimating you should see 6 MOA groups. So, I mean, really good shooters, they're shooting like 2 MOA on open sights. So if that's a 3.5 MOA rifle, I'm expecting to see 5.5 MOA groups on a good shooter. That's just my theory. Again, I don't have a way to test this. I really wish I could. So that is something you're definitely going to want to be concerned with the AK. Another concern you're going to have is these parts are all riveted and pinned in. If something were to break for whatever reason, a field repair is not possible. Even finding the parts, because we live in America and we don't live in Soviet Russia, there's just not a lot of AK parts. And even, let's say, I have 2 AKs from the same exact country, made at the same exact time. Even the trunnions are cut different. I believe they're labeled 1 through 4. So you got to have a barrel that matches the trunnion. Because as the tooling wears out, your hole diameter changes. So instead of them changing tooling constantly, they just label them. All right, that's a blah, blah, blah spec trunnion. So we stamp it with a number 4. So it needs a number 4 barrel for it to line up. Very difficult. Now the AK, you can get really cheap ammo, so you can stockpile it. But after you burn through your stockpile, what are you probably going to see out there? Hunting cartridges, 223. Without a doubt, 223. And how much more 223 ammunition we sell over AK, it's just not even measurable. Like, a couple of boxes a week minimal in 223. AK, it's rare when somebody comes in and buys 7.62 by 39. That could be because most people buy in bulk off the internet, but I just don't think it's that popular of a cartridge anymore. The rifles got too expensive. The cheaper ones are just simply unreliable. People don't know what to buy because they want to get a good rifle. But no matter what rifle you say you have and you jump in an AK form and ask if it's good, there's going to be a handful of people that are going to tell you you got a bad rifle. So it's really tough. The best way to describe the AK-47 is like your slutty ex-girlfriend from high school who let herself go. Yes, she is intimidating with plenty of knockdown power and has a proven track record to getting the job done right. But there are better choices out there, like her younger sister. Now with the AR-15, you're really limited on hard target penetration. Yes, it can do it. I mean, if you're shooting like 62 grain steel core, I don't see any reason why it couldn't go through a windshield. I mean, you only gotta slow the raider down or injure him enough to where he's like, okay, that was a bad idea, I'm gonna go somewhere else. But the 223 is way lighter, and you're gonna get better on this rifle way faster. If you're good with the AK and you had put that same amount of time, energy, and money in a 223, you will be better with an AR-15 over the AK for a couple of different reasons. One of the main reasons is shooter fatigue. I don't know if you've ever drove snowmobile or rode crotch rocket or anything, you know, like where you have forces acting on your body, it burns you out. You shoot a bunch of AK or a bunch of 308 rounds, you feel fatigued. You usually want to take a nap after you're done shooting. In AR-15, there's less percussion coming out, less forces acting on your body. You can shoot it longer and still stay, I don't really know the word I'm looking for. Still stay able to learn. Or if it's like in a zombie thing, still stay accurate. Another thing is how the controls are set up. You never have to take your hand off the pistol grip, regardless what you're doing. Eject the magazine, right there. Work your safety, right there. Trigger, right there. You will be faster with an AR over an AK. Now, yeah, you could always just, I don't even know how you do it. Probably something like this, like just walk with your AK like that, slide off, come down to your controls. But even changing out magazines are slower. You have to do the whole rock in thing. And if you don't get it perfect, I'm not an AK person, so people can do this much faster than this. But the point is, if you don't get it perfect, it don't lock in right. We're with an AR-15, straight in. So you'd literally be ejecting the magazine while you're reaching for a new one. It would fall out, and you would come up with your new one. The AK people, they take their new magazine, and then they slap the release, pops out that one, then they rock it in. And they can get pretty good at it, but again, like I said, if you put that same amount of time in training in an AR-15, you will be faster and better in the end. Now, as much as I would love to take this rifle, unless I am sitting in a fixed position or I have more than 5 people, this is just not feasible. The ammo's too heavy. It's got too much percussion. You couldn't shoot shots as fast as you could with an AK or a 223. But for hard target penetration, this is what I'd be reaching for. If I want to inflict serious damage, this is what I would be reaching for. But I could not shoot that a bunch of times in a row accurately, I would burn out very, very fast. Just learning this rifle. The ammunition's expensive. It's heavy. Even if you had an unlimited supply of ammunition next to you, the percussion that comes off this is just amazing. It's seriously going to burn you out fast. Not to mention, everything about this rifle is expensive. The rifle itself, expensive. The ammunition, expensive. The magazine replacement, expensive. Now, you could go with like an M1A or something. That'll really cheapen up your cost. And that is an option. I actually just picked this one because, you know, I can actually mount a scope on it decent. I don't have to throw on big cheek risers on it. It comes with sights with range already on it, which is really cool because if I know how far away the target is, I can dial it in and I'll be close enough to where if I did miss, I'd be able to see the miss and then just fix. But chances are I'd get a first round hit. As long as it's a reasonably sized target. We're not talking about a rabbit at 500 yards. We're talking like a human silhouette, 300, 400, 500 yards. Now, it also matters where you live. I mean, if you live in a heavily populated area, like in Wisconsin, it would be like Milwaukee, Madison, Stevens Point, something like that. If for whatever reason the grocery stores went dry or the zombie apocalypse, even if you have stuff in your house because it's just not well defensible, you're screwed. So I would not look at the AK or the AR-15 for either of those because I'd want to be light, I'd want to be fast. The AR-15 all the way. This is better at longer ranges too. I've tried to shoot an AK rifle at 500 yards and I failed miserably. I had a picnic table turned on its side. I was aiming up in the trees and still missing. Not saying it couldn't be done. I mean, if somebody knew what they were doing, they could totally make that shot with an AK. Now, I jumped on a 308, not a problem. Making hits. AR-15, I haven't had an opportunity to try it past 300 yards, but at 300, I'm pretty damn good. I'm assuming at 500 I'd still be pretty good because it's a nice flat shooting cartridge. This has a trajectory like a rainbow. Another reason why I picked the Scar over other 308 options is, like I said earlier, it weighs less than this AK. And it packs way more of a punch. Now you're going to want to get a sling on whatever you get because I really don't see it getting to the point to where you'd have to carry it, you know, low ready the whole time. You're going to sling it. You got to move your hands. You got to be able to do things, carry your children, carry other supplies. So a sling is important. I also believe chrome lining is very important. Now, I mean, I'm sure the comments are going to blow up with people debating me that melanite's just as awesome and it's more accurate. But there's so much more to the bore and the longevity of the rifle. I got a video I'll probably actually roll in. But for example, your typical AR-15, it either 1, doesn't get shot at all, or 2, it gets shot constantly. So you really don't get to see the effects on it. When people bring in rifles and like they shoot them once a year for deer hunting, if they're not cleaned very, very well, yes, and that does include AR-15s, they'll bring them in and the bore will just be disgusting. Recently, we had somebody, which is probably the video I'm going to roll in, arguing with you. Your SKS is chrome lined, and this is just melanited. There's so much more that goes. Yeah, it just had a melanite barrel. He shot it, sighted in, and confirmed his 0 last year, and then it went stored in a gun case, which don't ever store your rifles in gun cases. Something about it, I don't know why, but they just rot out really, really bad. He went to go shoot it this year, wouldn't chamber around because there was so much rust in the chamber it screwed up the head spacing, which is probably good it didn't chamber around because he probably would have ran into some serious problems because that bore was nasty. Another thing I think is important is open sights, because say the zombie apocalypse did happen. The chances of you breaking open sights on a pinned-in front gas block, especially on an AR-15, because when I typically see these go down, it has to do with gas. It'll be an Allen screw gas block or something that'll shift. And it just will short cycle, won't be able to feed the round, or they make the same mistake I did and they use grease on the buffer spring to make it quiet, but then once it gets really cold, all of a sudden it won't cycle anymore. Light oil and a lot of it is the key. But anyway, You should pick these rifles in their original configuration. You run a red dot on it, how long can you honestly find batteries? Let's say you go with an aim point that's got a battery life of what, 7 years? If they're not constantly making batteries, once that first battery's dead, chances are the shelf life is going to be burnt out on all the rest of the batteries that you could have replaced it with. Very important to learn your iron sights. Be good with them. For your shit hits the fan rifle, that's what I'd recommend, is iron sights. You put a scope on here. Say this was just a flat top and it had a scope on here and you wind it up smashing on something. Now you're stuck with a flat top rifle. Yeah, you could have backups, but it's better off if you know your iron sights already because, well, you're going to be questioning if your backup's got a good 0 on it because you typically don't use it because you have the scope. Your backup also doesn't have range on it, which all these rifles that I'm showing you right now all have range on it because they're set up for primary iron sights. And your practice is going to be down. Now you went from a sighting system that you're very familiar with to something where you've only used once when you first installed it. Not a good place to be in if your life depends on it. And not to mention, like, really, like, how is there going to be a threat that far away that it is infeasible to take on with iron sights? If it's that far away where you probably need a scope, it's probably really not a threat. And you're probably just being ridiculous. Yeah, I'm sure there's a billion scenarios you guys can put in the comments where, you know, that would happen, like this threat so far away that you need to engage, but no, I just don't see it. Obviously, you know, because I own an AR-15 and a SCAR, I have a backup plan. But if I can stay in my house, which is ideal, you want to stay in your house if at all possible, I'm going to have my SCAR. I also got a shotgun in there. But now if I had to leave, I would probably cry a little bit, and then I'd have to hide the SCAR underneath the bed and just say goodbye with it and grab the AR-15. Unless, of course, I have, like, a group of 6, 7, 8 people. I think pretty much anything 5 or less, I'd want everybody to have an AR-15. But if I had more, then I'd start wanting, you know, like a combat shotgun rolled into there and scope, because you back each other up, and then you're more versatile. You can handle maybe something scope because you back each other up, and then you're more versatile. You can handle these special crazy situations that wouldn't normally ever happen, and your standard situations that are normal, you got your AR-15s. Something crazy, well, then you got the other people in the group with the combat shotgun, the long gun with the scope, you know, whatever. But yeah, 5 or less people, for real, I would seriously ditch the SCAR and take the AR-15 because you need to be a ghost. You need to be invisible. I mean, you're moving through other people's property, trying to walk, because I highly doubt you'd be able to have a car. You're going to want to stay light, fast, and be a ninja. But anyways, that's just my thoughts on, you know, like, shit hits the fan rifle, zombie apocalypse rifle. This video could go much farther if you were to get into like pistol calibers and shotguns, which if this video gets traction, I will cover shotguns, pistol calibers again. But first off, we need to see if this video stays on YouTube and I don't get a channel strike for it, and if it stays monetized. But thanks for watching. Leave in the comments below on your thoughts on all this, what rifle you would go with. Don't forget to subscribe.